Hey there, welcome to this week's In the Shop with Scott. It was a very productive, mainly just Saturday, but made a lot of progress on the end grain cutting board, flattened some more walnut slabs, got varnish on the mini canoe, and also built these cute little canoe seats and got those varnished. So they're ready to have the caning weaved in. So I hope you enjoy the video. I started by giving the inner hull and the trim a light sanding so that the varnish could get a good bite. With the dust backed up and everything wiped down, I started applying Total Boat's Gleam Varnish. This really makes that red cedar pop. I then ripped down a thin piece of ash to use for the seat frames. And marked out my cuts. Using the Japanese handsaw, I cut each of these to the proper length. Then, as I've done on this project, I'd use CA glue in the accelerator so I could quickly assemble the frame. I think I mentioned it before, but working on something this small is quite challenging. With the frame assembled, I drilled the holes that I would later use to weave the caning for the seats. And then gave a quick sand to make sure there wasn't any rough edges and rounded over all the corners. No way to use a router on this piece. And a quick shout out to my buddy Nick over at Nashville Timber for this cool shirt. Then a couple coats of varnish to seal them and bring out that beautiful ash color. With the varnish drying, I then removed the clamps from that cutting board I glued up last week. And to keep the shop organized, I went ahead and put the clamps back up on the racks. And then got old Ned Sanders set up, ready to run the cutting board through. For end grain cutting boards, there's probably not a better tool in the shop than the drum sander. It makes quick work of leveling out the surface, so then you can jump over to your hand sanding and get out any sanding marks. Back at the table saw with the crosscut sled, I squared up both edges. Then I round over the edges using a 1/4 inch round over bit. I ended up making 3 passes, slightly raising the bit each time to prevent burn and tear out. Then sprayed it with water to raise the grain, and also good to see what that color is going to look like when it's finished. With that board on the rack drying, I then pulled out the joiner to work on squaring up the edges for another board. This was some more material from Forest to Home, hard maple and walnut this time around. A generous coat of glue and it's ready to clamp up. With the varnish on the inner hull just about dried, I flipped
the Canoe over and varnish the outer hull. Again, just love the coloring on this one. With the Canoe set aside to dry, I started working on flattening the rest of these walnut slabs. Using this sled, I hot glued it down with some shims to keep it flat and level. It's pretty cool to see that beautiful color come out as it starts to plane off that rough surface. And then a few passes to the sander to take out any ridges left by the planer knives. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed seeing the progress in the shop this week.